those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
And good morning. You are tuned into 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Black Talk Media, and this is the Education Pulse, hosted by Dr. Height, coming to you every other Saturdays. And yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Height. Dr. Height, good morning.
Good morning, Jordan, and thank you. And thanks to all the listeners who are tuning in for another episode of Education Pulse. This is our opportunity to provide some information about the School District of Philadelphia, some exciting things that are going on, and give a bit of information. And then we always have guests on the show who could also provide information about things pertinent to the activities that we are engaged with. And so I want to provide some updates and then get right to our guests. We're going to be talking about two topics today. One will be the opportunities this summer for all of our children pre-K through 12th grade. The other segment of the show will focus on some outstanding leaders in the school district who were just acknowledged as Lindbeck Award winners, and they're going to talk a little bit about how they will use the $20,000 in award money to support their respective schools. And so before we get to our guests, though, and our first guest is already on, and we want to talk about summer programs here momentarily, but it's also important to give a couple of updates about where we are. And first and foremost, all of our buildings serving pre-K through second grade students are open and serving those students whose families chose the hybrid option. Remember, the hybrid option is where children come for several days of the week, and then they're at home and engage virtually those other days. Teachers have been doing amazing work simultaneously, teaching students who are both in front of them and students who are tuning in at home. And they're doing that at the same time. So shout out to our teachers once again who are doing that work on a daily basis, and they've been nothing short of amazing in navigating and making sure that they are evolving their skills in order to do this very difficult work. We are also finalizing the schedule for phase 2, and it's based on results of a selection survey that closed last week. For phase 2, families of all students in grades 3 through 5 and families of complex needs students in grades 6 through 8. They all had the opportunity to select the hybrid model as well. Those students will start returning to buildings this Monday, April 26th, this Monday coming up. We're also focused on phase 3, and phase 3 was announced last week, and phase 3 are really our plans, and it's our final phase. And it's our plans to focus on families of students in grades 6 through 9, as well as families of students with complex needs in grades 10 through 12. They will also have the option to opt in to hybrid learning. That survey will close Tuesday, April 27th. Families in phase 3 can choose between a hybrid model or remaining 100% digital, whatever works best for the needs of their children and their family. If in fact they choose a hybrid learning model, Each week, the students will be assigned a mix of in-person and digital learning, and they will begin the week of May 10th. These schedules are designed to safely limit the numbers of students in schools each day and to help maintain social distancing in all school spaces throughout the day. Phase 3 families can also call their child's school directly to sign up for hybrid learning. If you do not respond by April 27th, your child will simply remain 100% virtual. Families selecting hybrid learning will be contacted by their child's school by May 3rd regarding next steps. And as families that choose hybrid learning, they can always return to 100% digital at any time. The second update, and I want to go over this briefly, but I think it's very important to the listening audience, is one related to our budget. And this past Thursday at the school board meeting, there was also a budget hearing. And at that hearing, we announced some upgrades to the budget that we had proposed several weeks prior. And those updates were based in part on the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 that was announced in February. That plan will allow our school district to receive about $1.2 billion in one-time federal relief funding to support long-term work, the long-term work ahead of supporting our students and making up for lost instructional time and making sure that we can emerge from this pandemic stronger. And I wanted to give just some brief highlights of some of the things that we talked about. First and foremost, we talked about, and I want to remind individuals that these monies are one-time monies. And so this 1.2 billion, it's a lot of money, but it's only one time. So as we spend those dollars do not continue to be in our budget. And we have to make sure we don't spend those dollars on things now that we will not be able to afford 4 or 5 years from now, and then would have to do like massive layoffs like we had to do back in 2012 and 2013. But we asked the public, and the public responded. We asked the public in an engagement survey and in town hall meetings what they thought we should actually focus those dollars on. We released that survey to families over the past several weeks. We had almost 12,000 responses. 2/3 of those responses were parents and guardians, and we're also holding focus groups. And those focus groups have been held already. Some have been held already. Some will continue through April 29th. Just go on their website and you can sign up for any of those focus groups. We also have several sessions in multiple languages, including Spanish and Chinese. And we've also had a session with district students. And I want to just talk real briefly about the results of the survey, because the results of the survey follows closely the things that we had prioritized for the American Recovery Act. It's student learning supports and learning recovery. That should not be a surprise to anyone. And that really, and it was focused in 2 areas. One, discretionary funding for schools. And discretionary funding means schools would get more funds locally and they can decide how to use those funds, and additional special education supports. So that was in the student learning supports, learning recovery phase. Then it should be no surprise, lots of comments about facilities investments and dealing with environmental hazards was the top choice there, and air conditioning, which should not come as a surprise to anyone listening in today. And then there was the student social and emotional needs, school-based behavior and mental health supports, before and after school types of programming, and those things, as I indicated earlier, were consistent. And then we have talked about, and at the meeting on Thursday, we talked about how we would actually then use that information to provide more and additional funding for each school in terms of the position and resources. We also are planning to add additional special education support positions and special education positions in the form of teachers, psychologists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, and the like. And then in addition, really going to focus on some facility issues, and we want to accelerate the improvement of our facilities. But in addition, we're also looking at new budget commitments, and these are some things to focus on the students' social and emotional aspects. And this is really some preventive programming and really focusing on supports for those communities that have been impacted by gun violence. And that will be behavior and mental health services, additional counselors, coordinating support of students who are victims of gun violence or have family members who have been victims, and then conflict resolution and those types of programs. Before and after school care programs in all of our schools, and really focusing on making sure that families next year have an opportunity for their children to be someplace in addition to the school day, both before the school day and after the school day. And just as a reminder to everyone who's listening, and I've said this a lot of times, we are working towards a full reopening this fall. That means we want all of our young people back, and we want them back every day, not on a hybrid model. And so we are working towards having a full reopening this fall. And so that brings me to a topic that is at the top of our show, and that is the guest that we have today. Our first guest is a Chief of Academic Supports and of the School District of Philadelphia, and it's Dr. Malika Savoy Brooks. Dr. Savoy Brooks, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hi, Dr. Haidt. Good morning.
Good morning. And we're also joined by Miss Allie Robinson Rogers, and Allie is the Executive Director of Post-Secondary Readiness. So thank you both for joining us, and I really appreciate it. Allie has been on the show before, as has Dr. Savoy Brooks, and we appreciate both of you spending some time on a Saturday morning to talk about some exciting things. And so I'll start with Dr. Brooks, and you know this has been a difficult year, and we talked about this, I think, as recently as yesterday.
Yes.
It's been a difficult year for students and staff, with children spending the majority of the year inside and doing things virtually. And so, Dr. Brooks, can you give us an overview of what our summer programs will look like this summer?
Sure. An overview would be that we are providing in-person programming that will go from 8:30 through 4:00 p.m. for our current 6th through 7th grade students, and then our current 9th through 12th grade students will also have programming. So anyone that is currently in our educational system will have an opportunity to participate in various programs throughout the summer. Most summer programming will be from June 28th through July 30th. We have, do you want me to go into specifics right now? Or just...
Yeah, it would be great if you could talk a little bit about what some of those programs are, and then how would people engage or enroll?
Sure. So the program for entering 1st through 8th grade students who are our current kindergarten through 7th grade students will participate in, we call it like a half day of academic and enrichment programming from 8:30 through 12:45. And then we have partnered with the city of Philadelphia. So we will have out of school time providers who will provide additional enrichment between the hours of 1 and 4 p.m. While the students are participating in the AM activities, they will focus on foundational ELA, which is English and Language Arts, and mathematics skills necessary for the next grade. So we talked about how our students, we want to ensure that our students are prepared for the next grade. So we looked at our current data and previous data from last year to determine what those priorities for instruction will be for the summer, so that we are preparing by grade, so that we're preparing each child for the next grade. To ensure that students are having fun with learning, we are ensuring they have application of learned concepts and skills through project-based learning, art, music, and physical activity. We have support for our English language learners.
Hey, Dr. Savoy Brooks, before you go into the English language learners, and I know you're probably going to special education as well,
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about like the fun part of it? And I know you just said through partners that will do those types of things, but are there specific examples?
Yes, we are engaged in social emotional learning for one, or social emotional supports and skill development for one. They will be engaged in art activities in the enrichment time. They will be engaged in sports and athletics in the enrichment time. And they will be engaged in, did I say arts, music, and an extension of the learning that is happening during the day. Also, the fun part for the AM is the project-based learning, which is inclusive of not just the academic portion, but we wanted to make sure that arts and physical activity was a part of that too. So we didn't want just students sitting and just learning skills and content. We wanted them to have application of peer-to-peer engagement, student-to-student engagement, engagement with the teacher, and having fun while they're learning and see what they're actually learning.
Yeah, and so you and I are very familiar with project-based learning.
Yes.
Some of the individuals listening may not be. And,
Sure.
and so can you describe what project-based learning is,
Yes.
and why that would be exciting for students?
Yes. So while students are, what we're planning are 3 project-based activities. Every other week, students will receive a new activity. The activity is a project because the students will end a 2-week session with an end product that they're working in cooperative groups with their peers to complete. Those projects are based on the 2 weeks of learned skills and what would be the culminating activity that would demonstrate that kids actually learn the skills and are able to synthesize the information and the content in a specific product.
Gotcha.
So students may have to create a brochure, students may have to create a solution to a current problem in their community. Students can also use art to demonstrate their learning. So there are various ways that they can complete a project at the end of 2 weeks, and we have 3 scheduled for every other week of the session.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the description. And you had started to talk about programs for English learners, and I interrupted you, so I want you to pick up there.
Sure. So we will have English language students who are English language learners and students who have individualized education plans, which we call IEPs, are also a part of this program too. In addition to that, we have a program specifically for newcomers, and newcomers are people who are new to our city, new to our country, and have limited language proficiency.
Yeah.
So we have a specific program for them, and we also have a extended school year program, which we call ESY, and that's for students who have IEPs and are eligible to participate. That eligibility for extended school year comes from the IEP team, which is the Individualized Education Plan team, which consists of educators at the school and the family to determine what's in the best interest of the student. So those students have the opportunity to participate in the 1 to 8 summer programming or the specific programming ESY and the newcomer ELs. Everyone is entitled to participate in that 1 to 4 out of school time activity. So as our district programs, the academic and specific support programs end, everyone is inclusive in the out of school time 1 to 4 time.
Thank you. And to the listening audience, we are hearing from Dr. Malika Savoy-Brooks, who's the Chief of Academic Support for the School District of Philadelphia. And she's describing a wide array of programs that will be available for students and families this summer. More than we've had in the last, what would you say, 10 years or so, Dr. Savoy-Brooks? Yeah, so there is virtually something for, not virtually, but there's literally something for everyone. And we want to encourage our families to take advantage of a lot of programming that Dr. Savoy-Brooks and her team in the Office of Academic Supports has created for many of our families. And so, Dr. Savoy-Brooks, how would families engage? I mean, how would families sign up for these?
On our district website, philasd.org, on the front page, there is a link that says click here for summer programming information. The registration for students in grades, current students in grades kindergarten through 8 is they can register. For high school students, there are programs that they can register for also, and I believe Allie Robinson-Rogers is going to talk about the high school programming. And then we are registering students for Q5, when Allie talk about that, and credit recovery. But all of the programming is people are able to register by going to our website. I want to emphasize, Dr. Height, that this is all in person. All of the programming that we talked about is in person. ESY has a virtual component for parents who want their children to be virtual, but everything else is in person.
Yeah, and so once again, listen to Dr. Malika Savoy Brooks, Chief of Academic Supports for the School District of Philadelphia, talking about summer school programs. The point that she just made is a point that I want to reiterate and emphasize as much as possible. All summer programs that you are hearing described this morning, they may have a virtual option for some children, but all of those are in-person programs. And that's with a view towards us returning everyone 5 days a week in person in the fall. And Dr. Savoy Brooks, I mean, some people may say, like, I normally sign up for camps and I normally have to pay for those camps. Is there any charge for these programs?
No charge.
No charge. And then if in fact the programs go through lunch, students fed?
Yes, we are providing breakfast and lunch for students. Thank you, Dr. Hyde. We are also providing transportation for students who whose home is 1.5 or more miles away from the summer school sites. And we are following all health and safety protocols as they currently exist.
Yeah, so once again, all programs this summer are meant to be in person. We know that a lot of our young people have had an experience on a computer all year long. This is about getting them back into a school environment to do some learning over the summer while at the same time having a lot of fun. Dr. Savoy Brooks, thank you for being on. We're going to go to a break, and when we return from the break, hopefully you can stay on.
Yeah.
And when we return from the break, we'll be joined by one of your colleagues, Miss Allie Robinson Rogers, who will talk about some of the high school options as well. So we'll go to a break.
Looking for an exciting and well-paying new career opportunity? MCAP is a free manufacturing career accelerator program. In just 7 weeks, learn new career skills, earn industry certifications, and connect to manufacturing companies who are hiring. To see if MCAP is right for you, call 215-770-7101. That's 215-770-7101. MCAP is brought to you by Drexel University's Goodwin College of Professional Studies in partnership with EDSI Incorporated. MCAP is an equal opportunity program. Diverse candidates, including women and people of color, are strongly encouraged to apply.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama. Barack and I are so thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine because this is a deadly disease and this vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. Getting vaccinated is safe and it could save your life and allow us to start getting back to seeing friends and family again. We can do this. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/coronavirus.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
WURD Radio 2021 Level Up winner Anissa Smith is hosting her Black Food and Dessert Expo April 23rd, 24th, and 25th at the Urban Ridge, located at 5261 Ridge Avenue in Philadelphia. Titled The Spring Pop-Up Experience, is a power hour of sampling delicious food and drinks from one of the local chefs and bakers. Come taste and shop and have an amazing time in unity, safely together. The Black Food and Dessert Expo are excited to offer a place for consumers to shop safely while supporting Black-owned businesses. Safety is the #1 concern. This is a mask-required event, except when you're sampling the food, of course. They have built-in 1-hour breaks to properly clean and sanitize the venue in between shop blocks. All guests will have their temperature taken before entry, and sanitizer and hand wipes will be available throughout the venue. To purchase tickets, go to the letter B, fadetickets.com. Again, that's bfadetickets.com. See you all for the Black Food and Dessert Expo Spring Pop-Up Experience. See you there.
Tune in this Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. for the Islam Today show with a perspective on moral guidance and Islamic principles and values.
Spring forward to throwback. All this month, when you start or renew your WURD membership, you'll get exclusive WURD throwback swag, vintage backpacks, books, and tees. While supplies last. Offer ends April 30th. Sow seeds into Black Talk Media and grow with us. Visit wordradio.com/join now to start or renew today. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
And we're back. As you're just tuning in, you're tuning into the Education Pulse hosted by Dr. Height. So, Dr. Height, you're back.
Thank you, Jordan. And we've been listening in the first segment of the show to Dr. Malika Savoy Brooks. Dr. Savoy Brooks is Chief of Academic Supports with the School District of Philadelphia, and we've really been talking about summer programs. And now we are also joined by one of her colleagues, and that is Ms. Allie Robinson-Rogers, who is the Executive Director of Post-Secondary Readiness. And Allie, thank you for being on the show again. I know both you and Dr. Savoy Brooks have been on before, but we've been talking, Dr. Savoy Brooks was describing all of the things available, particularly to our younger students this summer. Can you talk a little bit about the high school the options available for students who would be in high school this summer?
Absolutely. Good morning, Dr. Height. Good morning, Dr. Savoy Brooks. I love talking about summer because I'm so excited this year that we have so many opportunities for our students to engage in. And while we are developing and rolling out this comprehensive program, there's so many different pathways for students to be able to just kind of go on and explore. We have a program called Startup EDU, well, a component of our summer program called Startup EDU, which is for students who are looking to explore entrepreneurship. It's set up kind of like a Shark Tank experience. So students last year, we piloted that last year, trying to support an entrepreneurial mindset, and the students just loved it. And so we're doing that again. We're also doing something a little different with our Summer Bridge program. Normally we support students as they transition into high school, so those rising ninth graders. But this year, because we recognize that our current ninth graders hadn't actually been in their buildings, we extended that to 10th grade students as well. So our Summer Bridge program will be for rising 9th and 10th grade students. We also are offering credit recovery for students who need to do that, who may have failed a course prior to this last school year. And then something new that we're doing is called Quarter 5. And that's for students who want to improve their grades in some course that they took and they may not done as well as they would have hoped. And we are providing an opportunity for them to improve on that. We just really want to make sure that we are helping to close the gap between where students are and where they really want to be and where we would love to see them be. We also have, look, I'm just rolling them out, right? We also have a really exciting program that we also piloted last year with the University of Pennsylvania called the Penn RISA program. So it's the Penn Rising Seniors Summer Academy. And that is actually open to all rising seniors in the entire city, no matter what kind of, whether they go to a public school, charter school, parochial school, it's open to all. And we piloted that last year as well, and it was an amazing success. And we are so excited to partner with the University of Penn and for them to open their arms to us to be able to support such a large number of our students in preparing them for their senior year. One of the cool things about it to me is that students from Philadelphia, from the School District of Philadelphia, who attend that program will receive an elective credit for participating in that program.
Excellent.
And then finally, we also are partnering, of course, with Philadelphia Youth Network to provide summer youth employment opportunities for all of our students. Many of our programs offer some type of incentive or stipend or work-based experience, so students can also get paid over the summer. And we really just didn't want students to have to make a choice between improving their academics and earning some wage, right? And so we have really worked alongside the city, Philadelphia Youth Network, University of Penn, and all of our partners to try to make sure we are providing that experience for our students. So I don't know, I rolled off a lot. Do you have any questions or thoughts?
Yeah, no. So we're listening to Allie Robinson Rogers, and Allie is a colleague of Dr. Savoy Brooks, and she is the executive director of post-secondary readiness, which means everything that we want our young people prepared for when they leave high school. It falls into Allie's area of responsibility. And so, Allie, you talked about the Startup EDU first, and so I want to come back to that because that's an exciting experience and opportunity for our young people. Do we have a limit on how many young people can engage in that program? And is there, I'm going to ask you for deadlines on sign up for all of these, but is there an opportunity to begin signing up now? And how long do they have in order to sign up for that program?
Yeah, some of our programs are a little smaller, or components of our summer program are a little smaller. The Startup EDU is a really individualized approach. So there's about 150 slots for that program, because we also partner with employers around the city to really create an individualized experience for the students and work them through the creation of a business. And then they have like a Shark Tank competition at the end.
Excellent.
And so that program is a little smaller, but a lot of our other programs are extensive, and we have built in career components, career exploration components, career readiness components. We've built all of that into all of our programs, right? Because while we understand that some students really may want to be an entrepreneur, I think one of the things that we've been really pushing hard on, because of you and Dr. Brooks's guidance and support, is this notion that we want students to be prepared for life after high school, right? It's no longer enough to just get them to the graduation line. And so the summer programs, we have tons of space for all of the other programs. Registration is already open. Parents, students, and families can go to the website. There's a page, I'll find the link exactly so I can speak it out. But registration is open, and students are able to register at least until May 15th. If we can figure out some that we need to keep it open a little bit more, we're just going to keep pushing, because one of the things that Dr. Brooks has been adamant about is making sure that we are serving the needs of all of our students and families. And so we are making adjustments as we can to make sure they're all served.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And then just one other additional question as it relates to this. And as you know, many of our young people work during the summer, and they actually look forward to working during the summer. And what's your response to young people who say, well, I normally work, but I'd like to go to one of these programs, or I may need to go to one of these programs, but because I work, have we made any adjustments in that space?
Absolutely. We have partnered with Philadelphia Youth Network and the City of Philadelphia to make sure that the opportunities that students will have to work will be available for them in the afternoons, right? They no longer have to say, well, I have to, work starts at 8 and summer program starts at 8, right? They'll be able to use afternoon slots from providers. And then we've also proposed, and waiting approval, of course, but we have proposed to offer incentives built into the programming where there is enhanced career readiness development, right? So where we can make the connection between what you're learning and your preparedness for the career, we can actually attach an incentive or a stipend to that, so they may not necessarily have to go to work. And as soon as we get the approval we need, we're going to roll forward and move with that.
Yeah, so, and hopefully we'll get that approval, but what you just described was young people who actually get to earn some money while they are in a summer experience. And so we hope that that is approved moving forward. We know it's in the form of a stipend, but by the same token, stipend is still money. So we are looking forward to that. And then, why is it important for students to enroll in these summer programs, in your opinion? And we're talking to Allie Robinson-Rogers, Executive Director of Post-Secondary Readiness?
Yeah, I think it's important because I think that as students continue to progress through their high school years, right, all of these additional experiences that they take part in not only help to solidify where they are academically, it also exposes them to ideas, thoughts, things, experiences that they may not have been able to have prior to, especially as related to career readiness and exposure. A lot of times our students may not even know types of careers that are out there. You know, like I had a student a few weeks ago in a call we were on, and I talked about an equestrian, and she was like, what is that? You know? And so I think we just want to partner and work with all of the other organizations in the city that are exposing students to these opportunities. And I think the exciting part for me, getting to work with Dr. Savoy Brooks, is really making a direct connection between that and the curriculum they learn in their classrooms, right? Yeah. And so the deeper and richer that we connect those experiences, conversations about careers are not a side conversation that is happening with just one or two people, but as a community and as a district, we are supporting all students in that. And I think the summer program in particular is really helping to jumpstart that and make sure that our students get to where they want to be in order to stay on track to graduation.
And can I just add, like Allie and her team have created a website that we are encouraging middle school students through high school students to use. And this is the connection with summer programming, the academics, and the career immersion piece. We hear often, like, what does this have to do with me? Why do I have to learn algebra? Why am I sitting in this English class? What does science, what am I going to do with this when I graduate? So what we're trying to do is make the connection between courses, career pathways, whether it's right out of school or 2-year, 4-year, and beyond, based on the student's interest. And then what does that look like before they graduate? So we focus on career immersion, career exposure, and I said it backwards, career awareness, career exposure, and then career immersion. What Allie and her team are doing right now is that career immersion piece while they're still with us, ensuring that students understand specific career pathways and then what's necessary from an academic component for them to be successful once they leave us. And our real goal is we do want students to graduate and get their diplomas, but we always look at that August and September of our graduates. You two have heard me say this, like after prom, after graduation, if students are not packing up to go to college, if they're not working and going to college, if they're not working, then somehow we didn't do what we were supposed to do, because we have a number of students who don't know what their path is. And then what we're trying to do is that course correction to ensure that everyone has a career pathway when they leave the school district of Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Dr. Savoy Brooks. And that was Malika Savoy Brooks, Chief of Academic Supports for the School District of Philadelphia. We're also joined by Ms. Allie Robinson-Rogers, the Executive Director of Post-Secondary Readiness. And we're talking about summer opportunities. And we've heard about a wide array of summer opportunities, and I get to work with some magnificent people at the school district, 2 of which are on with me this morning. But Dr. Savoy Brooks, one point that you just made that I think is really important. We have children in many cases for 13 years, right? So if they go to kindergarten, we have them for 13 years. That feels like a long time, but it goes by really fast. And to your point, after we get to graduation, which is what we all work towards, if those young people are not heading to college or into a job or into some training opportunity, then we haven't fulfilled our responsibility. So all of these things that we're doing during the school year, in the summer, it's really about preparing young people for after they leave high school. And we want them to pursue their aspirations, but we want them to pursue something. And that is something that we want to expose them to prior to them leaving. Dr. Savoy Brooks, just real briefly, I know we've talked about all of the programs that we offer, and I know you've been doing a lot of work with the city to kind of organize other opportunities for students. I know we're not ready to talk about that yet, but can you briefly describe like some of the things that we also want to make available for students through some other agencies?
Sure. We're looking at, right now, our summer programming, I believe, Allie, help me, I think it's 37 schools that we're using for our summer program. And you have directed us that all of our schools should have opportunities for students. So we are working with the City of Philadelphia and other private organizations, in addition to some principals who want additional programming with their partnerships, to ensure that some of our other buildings that are available to be open have those programs, whether it's more providers from the out of school time, private providers. When I say private providers, organization, nonprofit, for-profit, who want to offer activities for our students will also have the opportunity to do that in some of our school district buildings.
And we'll make sure we get all of that information out to the public when that information is available, but we're working with the city and other partners to do that. So Dr. Savoy Brooks, thank you for joining us this morning. Dr. Savoy Brooks is the Chief of Academic Support at the School District of Philadelphia. One of her colleagues, Miss Allie Robinson Rogers, is also the Executive Director of Post-Secondary Readiness. These two young ladies they gave us the opportunity to hear about their programming. Thank you for joining, kind enough to join this morning on a Saturday, this version of Education Pulse. And so with that, we'll go to a break. And when we come back from the break, we will hear from two tremendous principals who were two of 7 individuals who were recently named Lindbeck Award recipients, and I'll talk more about that on the other side of the break.
Temple University, Philadelphia's public university, is committed to meaningful change that resonates throughout our community. We are investing more than $1 million in anti-racism education and programming, including creating a Center for Anti-Racism Research, developing a bridge program for high school students in North Philadelphia, and expanding our Department of Africology and African American Studies, which is the first in the country to offer a doctoral program. Our students are the next generation of innovators and leaders championing a better tomorrow. WURD is supported by Temple University, Philadelphia's public university. At Temple, we aim to make college accessible for all. That's why we launched the Cecil B. Moore Scholars Program, a bridge program for high school students in North Philadelphia that offers pre-college support, including tutoring, career exploitation, and the opportunity to take a free course at Temple. It's part of our commitment to cultivate leaders from our city and to support all students in reaching their full potential.
A Part of Me boutique, located 3834 Lancaster Avenue, sells men's and women's clothing, shoes, and beautiful accessories. Items can be ordered if not in the store. Check out our lovely one-of-a-kind chairs with reupholstered African fabric. A Part of Me is open Wednesday through Saturday from 11:30 to 6 p.m. You can expect friendly, professional service and unique finds. A Part of Me boutique, located 3834 Lancaster Avenue, sells men's and women's clothing, shoes, and beautiful accessories. Items can be ordered if not in the store. Check out our lovely one-of-a-kind chairs with reupholstered African fabric. A Part of Me is open Wednesday through Saturday from 11:30 to 6 p.m. You can expect friendly, professional service and unique finds.
Okay, hers new fire potato chips and cheese curls. They are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet. Hold on. Whew. But you know, it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Hers Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew. Taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Hers.
The Black Words Book Club. WURD Radio's monthly conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. The next book for May is Living in Color by Tommy Davidson. Be sure to listen live as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it. Tuesday, May 11th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for WURD members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM. and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
And we're back. If you're just tuning in, you're tuned into the Education Pulse, hosted by Dr. Height. Dr. Height, you're back.
Thank you, Jordan. And my next two guests are two of seven principals who were honored this past week by the Lindback Foundation. And every other week on Education Pulse, I have the privilege of introducing the listening audience to extraordinary individuals who work in our schools, supporting our young people and supporting our families. I'm thrilled this morning to talk about the Lindback Award honorees, and this award honors principals who have made significant leadership and humanitarian contributions to their school communities. This year's distinguished principals are Pauline Chung from Key Elementary, Siobhan McMillan from Vox Big Picture High School, Lisa Misi from Philadelphia High School for Girls, Luke Hostetter from Baldy Middle School, Kareem Thomas from Diston Elementary School, Colleen Bowen from Barton Elementary School, and Brian Johnson from Bartram High School. And I'm thrilled this morning, and I cannot thank these two individuals enough to have with us this morning Siobhan McMillan and Kareem Thomas, and they are two of the seven individuals who were named this past week as Lindback Award recipients. Congratulations to both of you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Height. Glad to be here.
Indeed. And so, and good morning, by the way.
Good morning. Good morning.
So, Siobhan, we'll start with you, if you don't mind. And you are principal of Vox Big Picture High School. This is a unique school that was part of a partnership with the Big Picture Corporation, the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers, and the Philadelphia Housing Authority. And can you describe first your school? And then I'm going to ask you a second question about your leadership. But can you first describe your school?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Again, all of our listeners. So Vox Big Picture High School is a neighborhood high school that services grades 9 through 12. Vox Big Picture High School was once Vox Junior High and then turned into Vox High School in the early 90s. And since then was a Promise Academy, and then in 2017 opened up as Vox Big Picture High School, like Dr. Height mentioned, under the support of Big Picture Philadelphia. It is a project-based learning school, and we heard a little bit about project-based learning in the previous segment. And we also offer real world learning opportunities. And what that means is students have the opportunity to have internships. We like to call them mentorships because it's not your typical internship. They get to leave campus and actually spend time with individuals in various different industries, and they actually earn credits for doing that. And so that's, in short, our program. We also have a very rich advisory model where students get to know their advisors and one another and build deep, meaningful relationships. And they also, we actually have competencies, and I think Dr. Brooks spoke about that before. These competencies are aligned to standards, but they also allow for more deep and meaningful synthesis of material. So students have an opportunity to create at the end of units, and advisors actually support them through that.
Yeah, and congratulations on the award. And generally, when people ask me this question, it's kind of hard to talk about my own leadership, but if you could talk about how your leadership style landed you this award.
That's a great question. I like to leverage the leadership of the team. I think, when I think about my leadership style, I like to listen. I like to just be my authentic self and do what's best for students at all times. And so it's actually part of our norms as a team to do what is in the best interest of Black students. And so in every decision that is made, in every conversation, every professional development, we lead with that. What is in the best interest of Black students? And I just like to listen and, always look for solutions And obviously this year, this year was riddled with challenges.
Yeah.
It was critically important to listen to the team, get them together. We actually had think tanks throughout the year that helped plan for this very, very difficult year. And so I hope that answers the question. When I think about my leadership style, is really one where I leverage the strengths of the entire team, listen, and make informed decisions that are in the best interest of my babies.
Yeah, fantastic. And so we just heard from Principal Siobhan McMillan, principal of Vox Big Picture High School, and she is one of she's one of 7 Lindback Award recipients, but one of 2 who are on the show this morning. And this Lindback Award is not just an award that is in name only, and I want to thank the Lindback Foundation and the trustees for providing this award to principals this year, 7 of them. But this is not just a certificate or a plaque. This is $20,000 that schools can use, that principals who were named the awardees can use for their schools. And so the next individual I want to both welcome and congratulate is the principal of Diston Elementary School, Kareem Thomas. Kareem, thank you for being here with us, and congratulations to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Height. Good morning, Siobhan.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. And can you talk a little bit about the new initiatives that Diston is doing under your leadership that led you to receive this award?
Yeah, so one of the things that I just wanted to kind of answer your question, but I wanted to say something that I think was so important about leadership and just like being collaborative. I think that's like really the key, and I think that goes into what you interview 1 million people, Dr. Height, but you probably don't remember. One of the things you said to me during my interview was, just be yourself and you'll be fine. Yep. And so like I've taken that with me as I began my journey at Diston in 2018. But one of the things that I knew initially was that we just were not like ingrained in the community. So I took a chance that first year and applied for us to become a community school, and we became a community school. And you'll remember one of the things that we were able to get was the 76ers Day. When we came out and we did the Ring the Bell Challenge on the stage. So we did that. One of the other things that we've done this year is like in response to all of the things that happened with George Floyd and the different racial uprisings in the country. The school started our own racial equity team this year. And we actually have 2 chapters to go, but we've been reading the book, White Fragility. And so we have had tough conversations within, our own school community, looking at the different practices that we have, and do they disproportionately impact a certain group of students in our school. And so just really having hard conversations within our own school community. I think those are, some of the things, but I think becoming a community school was one initiative that has paid like dividends for our school community, because we have been exposed and provided with some opportunities that we may not have been able to have otherwise.
No, I really appreciate that, Kareem. And I remember that interview well, and you've done an extraordinary job out at Diston, and so thank you for that. So how do you plan what are your plans for Diston with the $20,000 that you received with this award?
So so 2 things I plan to do with the money. One is, so one of the parts of the day that drives, like, I think all principals in elementary school crazy is recess, because recess can be like really good, or it can be like the source of like all types of drama, right? So we want to try to work with Playworks to get recess coaches to help just formalize what recess looks like a little bit more, so that we have less problems during that period of time that we know that is so important for our kids. Right. And then also just looking to possibly get some outside facilitators to come in and continue the racial equity work that we're doing at our school. Like we've had those conversations, and I think we're ready to really go to the next level of this work if we really want to do what's right for kids. So just trying to get some people to come from outside to help facilitate some of that work for us.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And Siobhan, I want to pose the same question to you. And Siobhan McMillan from Vox Big Picture, Kareem Thomas from Diston, 2 of 7 Lindback awardees, and they both received $20,000 for their school to use. And so, Siobhan, I want to ask the same question to you. How do you plan to use the prize money at Vox Big Picture?
Sure. And I also want to say good morning to my good brother, Kareem. We go way back. And so we plan to use it for certificate granting apprenticeships. So as I mentioned before, we do have an advisory model that lends itself to internships and mentorships. And so this year we have students in a pharmacy tech program. And when they're done, they'll have a certificate once they pass the test. But these programs aren't free. We have students in culinary programs and in electrical engineering programs. And so the goal is to use this money to help fund those programs for our students. And also professional development around PBL, project-based learning for our advisors.
Fantastic. And so want to thank both of you for being on the show. This segment of Education Pulse, congratulations to you and the other 5 principals who were also winners of the Lindback Award this year. Both of these fine principals received $20,000 as recipients of the Lindback Award, and they are planning to use that money to continue the progress and continue the very important programs at both of their schools. And so Kareem Thomas from Diston and Siobhan McMillan from Vox Big Picture, thank you both for being on with us for this episode of Education Pulse. And as we close out another segment or edition of Education Pulse, I want to continue to educate. I want to remind everyone that we need all of your support as we continue to educate our students and to support our families. And I want to thank all of the staff members, not just at these 2 schools, but who have worked and been working in their buildings since the pandemic started. Those individuals have been maintaining their buildings, distributing food, technology, and other supplies. Also want to thank our tremendous principals. You see 2 this morning, but we have several hundred of individuals who are really the lifeblood of our school district. And so once again, as we close, thank you to both of our principals, Siobhan and Kareem. Special thanks to our executive producers, Evelyn Sample Oates and Hania Shop Brown. And I want to thank Jordan Booth, who is our in-studio engineer. And so with that, we'll conclude this segment of Education Pulse. Everyone have a great weekend. Thanks to the principals once again for joining us, and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.